Welcome, friend, to a quiet journey through time, where the air is soft and the seconds drift like dust in a sunbeam, where the night lays its gentle veil over your thoughts, and you are invited to wander the labyrinth of human evolution with a rested mind and an unhurried heart. Before we step inside these winding corridors together, if you enjoy calm, thoughtful explorations like this one, you can softly tap, like, and subscribe, so these restful stories find you again. There is also a playlist in the description designed to play gently, one after another, so you can keep learning as you drift and drift and drift. What city/country are you watching from right now? Imagine yourself at the entrance to a wide, ancient passage, more a feeling than a structure, where walls are not stone, but layers of time. The ground beneath your feet is cool and steady, and the air carries a faint mineral hush, as if sediment itself were whispering its memories. You step slowly, in no hurry, noticing shapes that resemble chambers along the hall, each one a little alcove of a chapter, a gentle pause in the great narrative. In the first soft chamber, you find a simple idea waiting in the dusk-colored calm. Humans are not a sudden spark, not a solitary story, but a quiet braid of many strands, woven over long, long ages. Let that thought rest on your mind the way a leaf rests on still water. As you continue, notice how the labyrinth does not intimidate you. It is patient. It welcomes a slow pace. In the dim light, you see the earliest threads of our lineage, not as sharp drawings, but as silhouettes, like figures behind a curtain. The corridor is lined with images of forests in East Africa, warm and green, and the suggestion of open savannas, pale and endless. You can almost hear the hush of wind through tall grasses, the humble rustle of small creatures moving carefully, the comfortable rhythm of day and night, repeating without urgency. Somewhere in this ancient landscape, a story begins, not with ceremony or drama, but with a simple shift in how feet meet the ground. You can picture a pair of feet, not quite human, not quite ape, finding a balanced place between trees and open spaces. Toe bones aligning more snugly, a heel planting more firmly, arches rising like quiet bridges to carry the body with less strain. The spine adjusts, the hips turn in subtle ways, and the head balances a little differently on the neck. It is not a sudden change. It is not a single moment. It is a gentle accumulation of tiny, small, almost imperceptible steps, repeated generation after generation, like footsteps smoothing a path. When you imagine this, imagine it in slow motion, like leaves drifting downward on a mild afternoon, settling, settling, settling. The labyrinth corridor expands into a gallery where bones are softly sculpted from pale light. A curved pelvis, wider and more bowl-shaped, supports upright walking, a foramen magnum. The opening where the spine meets the skull sits a little more forward, hinting at a head held upright to look toward the horizon. Fingers curl with a new calmness around objects, not just for climbing, but for handling. A thumb presses gently against a forefinger. It is an overview, presented with care, without sharp edges, without urgency. You observe at your own pace. You let the details wash over you as if they are warm water in a still bath. In the next chamber, there are stones, softly gleaming in muted gray. The stones are simple. Some are worn to rounded shapes by time, while others bear faint, intentional strikes, the delicate signatures of early tool use. Picture a hand raising a stone and letting it fall, not in violence, but in curious testing. A second hand finds a different stone with a keener edge. The rhythm is slow and steady. Tap, tap, pause. Tap, tap, pause. Oldowan's stones drift into Aculean hand axes, shapes refining over time, edges even and symmetrical, like leaves pressed between the pages of Earth's long book. The gentle rhythm continues, and you are invited to imagine the quiet satisfaction of a flake detaching, the crisp sound it makes, the smoothness under a curious thumb. Not far from the stones, a soft glow flickers. It is not a fierce blaze. It is a modest fire, a controlled sparkle of warmth framed by twilight. Firelight touches faces in muted gold and copper, the shadows playing with soft patience. The air holds a hint of smoke, as if memory itself were smoldering quietly. Around this small fire, you imagine a cluster of early humans, or near humans, not speaking as we do, but sharing in the calm presence of companionship. Food warms slowly, becoming gentler to chew, safer to digest. Bodies rest near the heat, which keeps the chill at bay and lengthens the evening's safe hours. This small circle of light becomes a soft landmark in the labyrinth of time, encouraging social bonds to grow like vines in the protected corners of a garden. Step by step, the corridor of time guides you forward, and you notice the climate gently reshaping the scenery. The walls of the corridor show patterns of ice and thaw, cycles repeating beneath the quiet governance of Earth's long rhythms. Glacial breaths cool the world, interglacial sighs warm it again. In these changing chapters, migrations unfold without hurry. Populations move like slow rivers, sometimes branching and rejoining, sometimes pooling in quiet valleys. You can imagine feet on dust, steady and uncomplicated, following water, following warmth, following the living threads of food and safety. Wind and sky witness it all, silently as they always have. In a spacious hall, you see a series of faces, sculpted but not too sharply, drifting from one form to the next, from more ancestral contours to those closer to your own reflection. A gentle brow ridge gives way to a slightly flatter face. The jaw refines. The chin begins to appear as a modest anchor. Brain cases change their curves, becoming roomier, but not as a sudden burst, rather as a careful redecoration of the house, of the skull. You are not asked to memorize names. You are invited to let their presence be enough. Australopithecine shapes in warm savanna light, Homo habilis hands, patient with stones, Homo erectus forms, striding with a calm endurance in long-distance journeys. Later relatives, like the thoughtful Neanderthals, inhabit colder regions, clothing themselves in layers of careful preparation and quiet resilience. Far in the back, the present quietly approaches. Pause in this hall and let the air rest in your lungs. You can imagine small groups sharing food, blending their knowledge and their patience. You can imagine children learning by watching hands move deliberately, eyes attentive to the subtle dance of techniques passed from one generation to the next. Nothing is rushed. Everything is gradual. In this labyrinth, time itself is generous. It does not demand quick answers or a swift pace. It invites careful attention, and it rewards it with a soothing sense of continuity. Along the next turn, meet the methods that allow us to see this labyrinth at all. Imagine a stratigraphic wall, its layers stacked like soft bedding. The deeper layers are older, the upper layers more recent, each stratum holding small clues like pressed petals in a diary. Archaeologists brush gently, patient and unassuming, removing grains of dust one by one, not chasing spectacle, just tracing calm outlines of where fire once burned, where bones once fell, where footsteps once paused. Radiometric clocks hum softly, not with mechanical ticks, but with the quiet certainty of isotopes easing toward stability. Potassium-argon whispers a time frame for old volcanic layers. Carbon-14, more youthful, offers ages for once living matter, within limits that the scientists respect like the boundaries of a garden. The numbers speak softly, and the interpretations are laid out with gratitude, like a picnic under a tree. In a quiet niche, you see DNA as a flowing ribbon, not a swirling storm, but a calm stream, with stones placed here and there, guiding the current. Genetic clues do not shout, they hum. Tiny differences add up to soft patterns, telling us that humans in Africa stayed, changed, and sometimes stepped outward, carrying pieces of their home within them. Some branches of the labyrinth came close and brushed, exchanging a few pages of their genetic books, leaving traces that still rest gently in many of us today. The Neanderthal pages, the elusive Denisovan pages, lie folded within our own, a reminder that our story is not a single line, but a braided path with crossings and returns. You move along to a chamber lit by an even, comforting light, and here the subject is language. Not an explosion, but a gradual layering. Imagine the mouth as a simple instrument, tuning itself across ages, the larynx descending a little, the tongue acquiring flexible movements, the brain weaving networks that quietly coordinate sounds into meanings. The FOXP2 gene stands modestly at the side, a single ingredient among many, helping to shape the subtle dance of learned sounds. Language grows like ivy on a wall, finding holds, spreading gently, making patterns. It becomes a place where memory can settle, where knowledge can perch and find easy access. There is no single beginning, just a slow swelling of capacities, a widening comfort with sound and symbol. Imagine yourself in another chamber, where culture resides like a library bathed in twilight. Objects are placed respectfully on shelves lined with soft fabric. Tools, pigments, beads, quiet sculptures in stone and bone. Handprints on cave walls, not as shouts, but as whispers that say, "I was here. We were here. We knew this moment." The images of animals move with measured grace, as if drawn on the breath of a sleeping mountain. We do not need to attach precise motives. It is enough to let the glow of these artifacts remind us that lives were lived in rhythms similar to ours, with tasks and rest, with gatherings, and the simple comfort of shared time. The corridor opens to a gentle panorama of daily life at different moments in our deep past. Imagine stones arranged in a circle for sleeping, not because of fear, but because order is restful. Imagine cooking fires tended with calm attention, water carried in slow strides, plants gathered with gratitude, and small animals approached with care. The sounds are a soft mixture of footsteps and murmurs, leaves shifting, water touching rocks, the faint hush of wind mingling with human breath. Children learn quietly, imitating motions until their hands remember without the need for instruction. In this lingering scene, you can feel the steady heartbeat of a world that asks only patience. As you continue, you reach a place where the labyrinth branches into multiple quiet corridors, each representing a different descendant, cousin, or co-traveler. Some corridors are long, extending far beyond sight. Others curve back into the main path, like streams rejoining a river. Some corridors taper gently, leaving only traces: a tooth, a fragment of bone, a memory of tools shaped in a particular way. You walk slowly past each one. You need not choose a single corridor as better than another. Each one is a room in the house of our history. Each one left a subtle echo in the hall of time. Beyond those branches, there is a museum-like alcove that invites you to study the quiet mechanics of upright walking. In your mind, trace the journey from plantigrade steps in older primates to the more aligned gait of hominins. Picture the ankle rolling smoothly, the knee locking softly in full extension, conserving energy like a well-made pendulum. The pelvis works like a careful cradle, holding organs with stability. The gluteal muscles activate not in strained bursts, but in rhythmic, supportive pulses. Even the shape of the big toe participates, facing forward to support each step with a gentle push. This architecture is not glamorous, but it is elegant in its reliability. It is a promise of endurance, not speed. A promise of journeys completed, not races won. The labyrinth subtly shifts again, and now you enter a corridor focused on diet. It is a gentle story of gathering and tasting, of roots and fruits, of seeds and leaves, berries and tubers, eggs and honey, and sometimes meat, prepared slowly and shared carefully. Enamel thickness tells of chewing certain textures. Microware patterns whisper about habits. The introduction of cooking is like a soft turning of a page. Heat makes tough fibers more forgiving, transforms the chemistry in ways that lighten the body's work, and may have made evenings longer and more sociable. The change is quiet, but the effects accumulate. just as dew gathers silently on leaves before dawn. In another chamber, tools take on new subtlety, not just flakes, but cores and planned sequences of striking, as in the levallois technique, where the maker holds the final flake in mind while shaping the core slowly and carefully. Imagine this as a kind of meditation. Each strike is considered. Each surface is prepared. Precision increases in small, patient steps. It is less like a drumbeat and more like a lullaby, a mindful pace that brings shape from stone with intention and foresight. As you move forward, you feel the labyrinth gently lifting, as though the floor is rising like a tide, carrying you toward a broader view. Here you are invited to observe not only the bones and tools, but the social fabric that wove lives together. Cooperation, not as a flashing light, but as a calm, steady lantern. Food sharing reduces uncertainty. Care for the young lengthens childhood, allowing learning to deepen. Elders carry memories like warm blankets, passing them down in stories, in demonstrations, in the quiet repetition of best practices for staying warm, staying fed, staying safe. This softness forms a stable background against which innovation can seem almost casual, a natural outgrowth of comfort and time. Now stand for a moment where the labyrinth touches the ocean. Imagine early people gazing across water that moves with the same reliable rhythm that breathes inside your chest. Boats may be simple rafts, or bundles of buoyant material tied together with care, or later, more refined vessels. Currents become pathways. Stars offer slow guidance. The smell of salt is present, but not intrusive, a quiet accent in the air. The migration continues, not in a single wave, but in many calm ripples. Islands appear like resting points in a great sleeping sea. In this gentle atmosphere, turn a corner and encounter the concept of species in a way that is relaxed and forgiving. The boundaries are not walls, but hedges, and sometimes the hedges have gates. Populations may diverge when separated, rejoin when they meet again, and share a few traits, a few genes. Natural selection acts like a gardener trimming and shaping. Drift adds soft randomness, like seeds carried by a breeze. The result is a living tapestry that changes slowly, with complexity that invites careful attention, not hasty conclusions. You do not need to keep track of the labels. You can simply let the patterns unfold calmly in your mind. Take a moment now to rest in a chamber dedicated to how we know what we know. Scientists discuss their findings in quiet rooms, their voices low, their focus steady. They revise their ideas when new evidence appears, not with alarm, but with gratitude for the clarity it brings. There is no need to be certain beyond the evidence. Confidence is measured and provisional. If an interpretation changes, it is like adjusting a painting in a frame, so the light falls more evenly and the colors are truer to the scene. This is a comforting thought, a reminder that knowledge can be both strong and flexible, like a well-made reed that bends with the wind and then returns to its serene alignment. You pass a display of footprints preserved in long-ago mud, now turned to stone. The prints are simple depressions, not dramatic, yet they carry an intimate sense of presence. A heel, a ball, a toe, another set beside the first, slightly smaller or slightly offset. The rhythm is so familiar that you can almost hear the soft sound of steps as they were made, even though no sound crosses from that past into the present. Your imagination fills the distance in a respectful way, providing a soundless echo of movement. In that echo, you notice the same quiet determination that carried your own ancestors, step after step, hour by hour, through a world that yielded its gifts to patient hands and mindful attention. Further along, you find a room dedicated to clothing and shelter. The surfaces are draped with gentle yarns, faint hues of earth and dusk and dawn. Clothing emerges not all at once, but as a series of small comforts layered over skin, making new regions habitable, making evenings more restful, making travel less taxing. Shelter shifts from a convenient recess to a deliberately arranged space, with windbreaks and coverings, with materials gathered and placed thoughtfully. You can picture the ritual of tidying the ground for sleep, clearing stones from under a bedding area, smoothing the surface so the body rests without pressure points, ensuring that rest restores rather than depletes. The simple care taken to make a good sleeping place is as ancient as our species, and still holds a gentle wisdom. As you walk, the labyrinth offers a quiet meditation on hands. The thumb's strong opposition, the index finger's sensitivity, the fine motor control that lets a person grip delicately or firmly as needed. The nervous system's pathways from skin to brain and back again hum with delicate signals. In your mind, watch as sinews flex and relax. Watch as grips shift from power to precision, guiding a sharp flake, or a smooth needle, or a writing tool in modern times. Hands become the local ambassadors of the brain, calm translators that turn ideas into shaped materials. They do so quietly, faithfully, with an easy, soothing rhythm. Another room brings you the story of eyes and sight. The sclera, the whites of the eyes, help signal gaze direction, making silent communication easier in a group. The face becomes a canvas for subtle expression. Eyebrows and mouth corners move like small ripples across a pond, transmitting information gently and effectively, which fosters coordination without spoken words. Later, with language, the voice carries tone and cadence that convey emotion and nuance. Even before words, these signals create harmony in groups, reduce misunderstanding, and steer social interactions toward shared goals. It is a quiet harmony, like a well-practiced chorus breathing together. You reach a place where the labyrinth shows gentle shifts in the way we perceive time. Early on, time was likely felt in day-night cycles, in the waxing and waning of the moon, in the steady wheel of seasons, in patterns of animal movement, in plant growth and flowering. With agriculture, time becomes more measured, not necessarily more urgent, but more structured. The pace of planting and harvesting sets a comfortable metronome for communities. Even in foraging societies, there is rhythm and calm, periods of intense gathering followed by periods of rest, a balance that the body recognizes and appreciates. The gentle rhythm continues, and in it, people find a sense of security. The labyrinth now leads you along a shelf where fossil skulls and jawbones rest like fragile shells collected from an ancient beach. You picture the jaw of an Australopithecine, sturdy and capable, teeth worn in particular patterns that reflect a mixed diet. You see the brain case of Homo erectus, more capacious, fitting a broader, calmer competence. A Neanderthal skull resides before you, with its long, low vault and pronounced brow, not fierce or menacing, just different, just beautifully adapted to its environments. Each skull is a quiet variation on a theme, as if the earth herself were experimenting with the parameters of a familiar melody, letting it play out in harmonies that overlap and blend. In the corner, two modest bone tools rest on dark cloth. Their shapes are simple, but refined. You imagine someone sitting with these pieces in hand, smoothing them with a fragment of sandstone. Checking the edge against the pad of a thumb, there is contentment in the repetition, a steadying effect that comes from shaping something useful. The tool is both a product and a companion, a small testament to focus. These gestures echo forward into time, because even now, creating something with your hands has a similar calming influence, aligning breath and movement without strain. You then pass a gentle mural of a savanna turning into a woodland, then a wetland, then a valley filled with soft, low fog as morning light filters through. Animals pass through the scene, their footfalls soft. Birds trace arcs across the pale sky and settle in the branches. In such a world, early humans and their relatives did not dominate. They participated. Their innovations helped them adapt, but they remained part of the larger quiet network of life, with bees moving from flower to flower, with termites mounding earth, with grasses waving, with a river carrying everything along in its patient embrace. Further along, in a chamber trimmed in a calm blue glow, you see how water guided movement. Rivers and lakes are rest stops, oases in a shifting climate. The knowledge of where to find water is as precious as anything, and knowledge is kept alive by sharing it. Imagine an elder gesturing gently toward a ridgeline, indicating a path to a known spring. Others nod, not in drama, but in assurance. The group moves together, taking turns to carry heavier loads. Children walking when they can, being carried when they must. Everyone adjusting in a quiet, cooperative choreography. You find a place where the walls are inscribed with symbols that are not fully resolved. Lines and dots, grids and arcs, possible calendars, possible records, possible dreams. The ambiguity is not frustrating. It is soothing. It leaves room for your mind to wander without needing to land. You are reminded that understanding is often a field of possibilities, each one with its own quiet appeal. The boundaries of knowledge are gentle here, like the edges of a mist that the morning sun will gradually trace, but never harshly burn. In the gentle depths of this labyrinth, a garden opens up, devoted to sound. The rustle of grasses, the clicking of stones, the low resonance of a drum made from a hollow log, the breathy note from a simple flute. Music emerges in the same slow way as other things, a comfortable companion for gatherings, for lullabies, for marking transitions. Think of how a slow rhythm can regulate breathing, can slow the cascade of thoughts, can turn an uneven day into a balanced evening. In prehistory, perhaps music served these purposes without labels, simply because it felt good and organized the group without command. The gentle rhythm continues, and with it, bodies relax. A long hallway is devoted to night. Firelight glows again. Sparks rise and fade like tiny, kind stars. The sky overhead, unpolluted by modern brightness, carries a dome of cold diamonds, patient and unblinking. People tilt their heads back and trace soft patterns among the stars. They do not force conclusions. They let the patterns be companions. Some stars rise at certain times of year and become navigators for migration, or calendars for planting. The act of watching becomes a habit, and from habits, knowledge grows, layer by gentle layer. In the next quiet space, the labyrinth pauses at the threshold of agriculture. It is not a hard line. It is a gradual gradient, a slide from occasional tending to regular cultivation, from casual protection to planned planting. Seeds, saved from a particularly satisfying harvest, are placed gently in prepared soil. A fence is woven from branches to discourage animals. Watching and waiting become part of daily life. The transformation is subtle at first. Settlements grow, storage begins, and the rhythm of meals changes from opportunistic to scheduled. Cooperation deepens in new ways, with new roles and responsibilities woven into the calm fabric of community. Now step into a sunlit room that explores what it means to remember. Memory binds generations. Stories wrap around events and fix them in place. Music and rhythm help recall. In a world without writing, memory functions like a shared garden, tended by many hands. Later, with writing, the garden expands into a gentle landscape of clay tablets, ink on papyrus, carved marks on bark and bone. The continuity is the comforting part. Knowledge does not flash and vanish. It flows, pools, evaporates a little, rains back down, continues its cycle with slow persistence. The labyrinth turns, and a soft echo invites you to consider how we, modern humans, carry all these layers inside. Our joints and muscles still know how to walk long distances at an energy-saving pace. Our eyes still find comfort in horizon lines and dappled shade. Our minds still respond to stories told in calm voices after dark. The modern world adds bright lights and quick changes, but inside, there remains a steady core that prefers the measured and the organic, the familiar and the gently paced. In a small alcove, you come across a map of migrations drawn not with sharp arrows, but with soft wisps of color. The paths begin in Africa, widen, and drift toward many destinations. Some through lush forests, some across grasslands, some along coasts. The branching is slow and natural, like the way colors bleed into each other in watercolor painting. You imagine people meeting new landscapes with curiosity and patience, paying attention to subtle signs, learning what to eat and what to avoid, learning how to make a shelter from local materials, adjusting clothing to fit the climate, getting to know the taste of unfamiliar water and the feel of unfamiliar soil under their feet. Now, in the heart of the labyrinth, where the walls breathe a quiet warmth, you arrive at a midpoint of sorts. You have seen the beginning and some of the middle, and you sense there is more to come. Different views from different angles, and perhaps some gentle detours into the details that often go unnoticed. Before we drift further, if your eyes are still open and the soft tide has not carried you into sleep yet, one small invitation awaits you in the hush of this chamber. Still awake? Comment the secret word, nebula. When you are ready, continue with the corridor that leads to the art of reading the land itself. Geology is patient. Layers stack. Rivers cut. Ash settles, then compresses. Sediments carry the memory of a flood or a drought. Animal bones gather in hollows or caves where water flows less or more, leaving a residue of time that later discoverers can read carefully, like a librarian sorting a collection. The lab work that follows is similarly deliberate. Microscope lenses slide into focus. Cross-sections are viewed under even light. It is a quiet craft, full of small, careful movements, much like shaping a tool or tending a fire. You pass a chamber where the climate story is told slowly. Milankovitch cycles are presented as simple shifts in the way Earth nods and wobbles and leans. The changes are gentle but collective. They tune the seasons, move rain belts, alter the boundaries of forests and deserts. In response, animals move. Plants adapt. Humans adjust their routes, their diets, their strategies for saving energy. The balance between what the environment offers and what a group needs is a dynamic conversation, and it proceeds without haste, like two old friends speaking on a shaded porch while the afternoon passes lazily by. Further on, you see a soft light pointing to the importance of curiosity. Curiosity looks like a person bending to examine a shell, turning it in their fingers, holding it near the ear to listen to its quiet memory of the sea. It looks like a person placing a log across a small stream to see if it can serve as a bridge. It looks like a person combining materials in new ways, made possible by the security that cooperation brings. Curiosity does not always lead to immediate utility. Sometimes it leads to delight. But from delight, there can be gradual change in practice, and from that, the community benefits. The labyrinth honors the small, patient ways curiosity shapes us. In a generous space bathed in a warm glow, you encounter the story of domestication. the first companion is a dog-shaped presence, though this too is a gradient, not a singular moment. Canines keep close to human groups, drawn by easy food around camps. Humans welcome eyes and ears that detect subtle movements at distance and in the dark. The relationship becomes a gentle exchange of security and companionship. Slowly, it settles into common understanding. Later, other animals step into this circle of quiet cooperation, along with plants that do well when encouraged and tended. Each step is a little bridge between species, built without fanfare. You drift into a room where differences between populations are softly painted in the colors of climate. Skin tones adjust over many generations to balance the gifts of sunlight with the protection that deeper pigments provide. Noses and body proportions show variation that correlates with the demands of heat and cold. These are not differences of better or worse. They are the gentle adaptations that any widespread species would show in a world of varied environments. The result is a calm, beautiful spectrum of human variety, each aspect telling a story of place and time, and a practical relationship with the environment. On a quiet bench, there is a display of fabrics. You can imagine plant fibers twisted into threads, animal fibers spun and woven. The textures are not harsh. They invite the touch. They hold the memory of human hands that made them. The colors come from roots, leaves, minerals, subtle and earthy. Clothing is practical, but also expressive. Patterns appear, first simple, then more intricate. These are visual whispers that say, "This is who we are. This is where we belong. Here is a motif that reminds us of home." The effect is peaceful and grounding. You find another chamber dedicated to the way humans walk and run. Persistence hunting, when practiced, is not the frantic sprint of a chase, but the calm endurance of a controlled pace under a sympathetic sun. It is about reading the ground and the wind and the shade, hydrating well, and allowing the body to do what it evolved to do. Not every group lived this way, and not every climate allowed it. But where it appeared, it sat within a broader lifestyle that balanced effort with recovery. In the Labyrinth, this practice is presented as a steady pulse, not a burst, like the consistent beating of a drum softly played in the distance. The Labyrinth takes you next into a thoughtful nook about the voice and singing. When people sing together, their breathing aligns, and with it, their sense of time. Lullabies may have lulled not just babies, but caregivers as well, bringing calm to a camp and providing comfort across generations. You can almost hear a low melody filling this room, without lyrics, just the hum of human connection. The gentle rhythm continues, and the walls seem to breathe a little slower. A passage leads to memories encoded in pigments. Ochre stains the fingers with a red-brown tint, a reminder that the earth itself holds color. Carbon black, chalk white, soft minerals ground to make yellows and greens. The act of applying pigment to a surface is a reassurance that human presence can leave marks without making noise, that thoughts can be placed outside oneself and admired, adjusted, or simply allowed to exist. The scenes depicted are calm. Animals move with dignity. Human figures appear with minimal detail. The value lies not in realism, but in the ritual of marking, the shared experience of seeing and being seen in the context of the group. In a hallway lined with gentle, familiar scents, you encounter the everyday tasks of food preparation, grinding grains between stones, crushing seeds, mixing ingredients in a bowl carved from wood, polished by years of use until it gleams with a quiet glow. The sound is rhythmic and soothing. You can hear the round, grainy whisper of stone on stone, the hush of grinding repeated without hurry. These processes build strong hands and steady minds. They are meditations as much as they are tasks. Even today, kneading bread or stirring a pot can bring the same calm, connecting you with countless ancestors who found peace in the same slow motions. As the labyrinth continues, you see a space devoted to navigation. Humans read the land by watching the sun and stars, by knowing where moss grows, by observing how birds move, by remembering the feel of wind patterns. Paths are not drawn on paper. They are imprinted in memory. They are stored in songs and stories. Landmarks are celebrated, named, and shared. The body holds the map like a gentle companion, so that a person can move from place to place without anxiety, trusting that knowledge is within reach, as long as the breath is steady and attention is kind. Now pause. In a room that reflects on children, childhood extends, and with it, play becomes a practice. Games are simple, but full of learning. Balancing, running, hiding, building small shelters with sticks and grass, imitating tool making with safe objects, repeating songs and dance steps until they become natural. The extension of childhood is a gift of time, providing space for skill to settle deeply and gracefully. The culture that allows this is a culture with spare capacity, generated by cooperation and gentle planning. It feels like a communal sigh of relief that makes space for laughter, for discovery, for quiet competence to grow. Turn into a softly lit corner and observe the role of elders. Their pace is slower, but their memory is wide. They remember seasons and patterns that others have not yet seen. They carry recipes for survival that have been tested by the landscape. Their value is not in speed, but in depth. A simple gesture from an elder can carry the weight of many years, signaling when to stay, when to go, how to interpret a sign that might otherwise be misread. In the labyrinth, elders are like anchor stones in a garden wall, lending strength and stability without drawing attention. In the following room, you meet the concept of symbolic thought, not as a switch flipped on, but as a gradual brightening. Even before language is complex, humans notice relationships, patterns, categories. The ability to conceive of something not immediately present grows little by little. Objects can stand for other objects. Marks can stand for sounds. Over time, this becomes writing, but long before writing, it already shapes communication. Stories extend beyond immediate survival and enter the realm of shared identity, of who we are and where we belong. These stories are told with a calm cadence that makes them easier to remember, and their repetition becomes a comfort. There is an alcove with a delicate focus on hands again, this time in the context of medicine as it quietly emerges. Plants with soothing properties are noticed and remembered. Simple poultices are applied with care. Bones, when broken, are set gently, wrapped and supported. None of it is miraculous. All of it is meaningful. It shows attention and communal investment. Illness and injury are part of life, but so is aid, given without drama, received without demands. The result is an increased sense of safety and a quiet willingness to try again. You reach a room that explores the idea of ownership gently. At first, things are shared because mobility and survival encourage sharing. Over time, with settled living, storage is needed. Containers are made. Spaces are defined. The dynamics shift, but not all at once. The Labyrinth shows this as a palette of tones, from open sharing to thoughtful allocation, from communal storage to household management. The key is that these changes unfold under the long, patient arc of human social intelligence, which can adjust, negotiate, compromise, and find balance with mostly quiet means. The corridor ahead is draped in the calming colors of dawn. Here, the subject is the mind at rest. Sleep has been our companion since long before our species had a name. The 9 or so hours of darkness in many lands would have invited a long and sustained rest, perhaps in 2 gentle phases, with a peaceful, wakeful interval between them. Dreams drift like mist from one shore of consciousness to the other. In the wakeful interval, a small family might whisper, stoke embers, share comfort, and then return to sleep for the second act. The body knows how to do this. It is built into the structure of our days. Even now, when lights fill the night, the memory of longer darkness remains in our physiology, inviting us to slow down and accept rest with gratitude. In the next series of rooms, you observe how technology gently accelerates. Stone tools become more refined. Eventually, metals appear in some places, first soft and workable, then harder and more resilient, each stage discovered with a mixture of attention and luck, anchored by the calm confidence of repeated trial. Pottery forms emerge, shaped on simple wheels or by careful hand, fired with controlled heat. Shapes become reliable, predictable, suited to storage and cooking. The curve of a pot reflects hands that have learned the exact pressure to apply, the exact rotation to maintain. Even as this progression continues, the rhythm stays gentle, blending progress with the tradition in a balance that comforts. Take a breath and look at a modest shelf devoted to measurement. A length of cord serves as a unit. A handful is another. The pace of walking measures distance. Time is felt by the sun's position, by the length of a shadow. Later, instruments arise, but slowly, elegantly. as if to honor the complexity they are meant to capture by being as simple as possible in form. Measurement stabilizes the world. It allows expectations to form without fear, schedules to be agreed upon without argument. It is a quiet language that helps human groups coordinate gracefully. There is an alcove about trade, but it is a relaxed trade. People meet, exchange goods with smiles and warm eyes, and spend a little time comparing notes on routes, on water sources, on plant uses. The goods themselves are part of a larger exchange of confidence and connection. Seeds move across landscapes through human hands. Ideas travel with them. Materials like obsidian, glossy and sharp, move far from their source because their value is recognized and cherished across many groups. Trade ties form like threads woven into a wide, soft fabric, binding distant communities without urgency. The labyrinth now glides into a spacious room dedicated to storytelling. Storytelling is everywhere, displayed as a long, quiet river. Stories frame the day's events, so they fit into a larger sense of meaning. They carry warnings without alarm. They preserve triumphs without boasting. They keep track of people, places, and lessons. The warm sound of a voice in the evening, telling something familiar with small variations, is one of humanity's most ancient comforts. The tone is patient. The pace is slow. The stories do not need to conclude quickly. They can wander like paths through a meadow, returning gently to the main thread before sleep arrives. A gentle turn brings you to the contemplation of failure and learning. One tries to make a tool, and it breaks. There is no scolding. Try again. A fire does not catch the first time. Wait. Scan for drier tinder. Reposition. Breathe. Try again. A plant resists cultivation. Adjust soil. Adjust placement. Reduce or increase water. The next season brings a different result. This quiet perseverance is not a heroic narrative. It is a simple, steady refusal to rush. It paces itself, treating time as an ally. There is a chamber dedicated to laughter. It is not loud, and it is not mockery. It is the soft kind that releases tension and tells the group, "We are safe now." It bubbles up in brief moments when something unexpected yet harmless occurs. Laughter binds people. It adds playfulness to difficult days. Its memory warms the night. In the labyrinth, laughter feels like the tiny, sparkling edges of candlelight, fluttering and then returning to stillness. Further along, the focus turns to how the human face became expressive and how that expression supports cooperation. Mirrors were rare in deep time, but other people's faces were everywhere. By watching, by matching expressions, by softening the brows when someone else is sad or concerned, people tuned themselves to one another. This emotional resonance invites kindness, reduces harm, and supports structures of care that extend beyond immediate kin. The labyrinth marks this as a subtle shift that opens space for more complex, supportive social webs. In a quiet room that smells faintly of ozone and wet stone, you are reminded that weather teaches patience. Humans learned to read the sky for hints of rain, to sense the heaviness that precedes a storm, to feel the dryness that threatens crops. In arid lands, survival depends on hearing what the land whispers. If there is no known remedy, then the remedy is often a schedule that respects limits, resting in heat, moving in coolness, conserving energy with grace. The capacity to rest when needed is wisdom, not idleness, and it still holds true today. You reach a passage that displays hunting and gathering not as extremes, but as complementary modes that merge with fishing and small-scale cultivation in many places. With variations dictated by climate and season, the diet is balanced over time, rather than in every single day. Special meals of meat or fish are answered by days of plants and roots. The body appreciates this rhythm. It evolved to expect variation without abrupt deprivation, and to bask in periods of plenty without overburdening itself. The Labyrinth encourages you to remember that perspective. Balance is a gentle practice. On a low pedestal, a set of needles rests, carved with tiny, careful notches. The notches indicate subtle improvements made over time, learned by practice. You imagine clothes fitting a little better each year, making cold seasons easier to endure. This comfort reduces risk and gives time back to the community. More reliable survival means more opportunity for attention to language, art, and the rituals that stabilize identity. The interplay is circular, like wind across a lake that creates ripples, which in turn influence how the wind feels on the skin. Nothing needs to be forced. It evolves naturally. As you glide through the next curve, the labyrinth quietly acknowledges that sometimes branches of our lineage did not continue. Not every corridor extends. Some become quieter and fade. The tone here is gentle and respectful. The endings are not acts of tragedy, but elements of life's overall variability. The populations in these corridors lived real lives, shared real meals, watched real sunsets. They shaped their world and were shaped by it. Their echo remains in what we learned from their traces, and sometimes in the genetic pages they left within us. A chamber devoted to hands and fire reminds you how these two elements influence the shape of our lives. Fire softened roots and tubers, made some plants edible that would not have been raw, and made meat more digestible. Hands adapted to handle embers and tools for tending coals without burning. You can imagine a simple practice of keeping a small fire going throughout the day, preserving live coals so that the effort of starting from nothing could be avoided. Such methods show an understated cleverness that keeps strain low and comfort high. In a gentle alcove, you find the logic of kinship. Names for relatives are a way of mapping who belongs where, who cares for whom, who teaches whom. In small groups, kinship is a map that everyone holds in their head. It makes sharing easier. It assigns responsibilities without friction. As groups grow, kinship still provides a gentle structure, but it is supplemented by other forms of organization, born of shared culture and proximity. The labyrinth lets you see these forms as layers, one supporting another, none invalidating the previous, all contributing to a soft stability. A sequence of rooms now explores the quiet mathematics of energy. Food intake, work performed, heat lost, heat gained, time spent on acquiring and preparing resources. In deep time, groups learned to sense these balances without equations, relying on intuition grounded in repeated experience. If a strategy is too costly, it fades. If it is efficient, it persists. Over time, behaviors that match energy realities remain. This is selection working not as a forceful sculptor, but as a persistent breeze that gradually shapes dunes. You emerge into a circular space where artifacts from many places are displayed side by side. A spear point from one region sits near a necklace from another, a woven mat from a third. The feeling is one of unity in variety, peaceful and reassuring. The breadth of the human experience gently fills the room without crowding it. It is like sitting in a garden where each plant has its own shape and color, and together they make a balanced landscape. Walking further, you encounter a gentle discussion of gender roles through time, created and recreated within constraints of environment and culture. Sometimes tasks divide by tendencies, sometimes by practical needs, and sometimes the lines blur and the roles overlap. Across the mosaic of human groups, patterns vary. The labyrinth does not assign blame or praise. It just offers a mirror and a soft light. It notes that flexibility is a resource like any other, that resilience is often served by allowing many possible arrangements, by listening to what fits the landscape and the group's health. Now, step into a chamber that honors sound and quiet once more. Silence is not empty. It is a canvas for awareness. Early humans knew the practical value of quiet, especially at night, allowing ears to catch subtle signals from the environment. They also knew the restorative value of quiet for the mind. In this chamber, the hush feels like a trusted friend. Your breath slows. Your shoulders loosen. The gentle rhythm continues, and the labyrinth seems to lean in slightly, as if to share a secret that is not a surprise at all. You are allowed to rest. A subsequent room reveals the invisible infrastructure of cooperation. Trust is built by small acts, sharing a portion of food, helping to carry a load, guarding a sleeping child, returning a borrowed tool in good condition. These acts, repeated and reciprocated, build a framework around which more complicated collaborations become possible. You can almost see the framework here, constructed not of beams and nails, but of habits and expectations. It looks strong and simple and kind. The labyrinth turns toward an area where art meets utility. A pot is beautiful, but also cooks well. A spear point is symmetrical and also flies true. A textile's pattern pleases the eye while keeping the body warm. In this room, the difference between art and craft blurs, not because definitions fail, but because for so much of our history, usefulness and beauty travel together, blending like two colors meeting and softly mixing at their boundaries. There is a gentle alcove for the concept of taboo and norms. Certain acts are discouraged, others encouraged, in an evolving pattern that often parallels what keeps the group healthy and stable. The enforcement is not always formal. It can be as simple as a shared frown, or the calm redirection of a hand away from a valued resource. Over time, these norms form a quiet code that everyone knows. The Labyrinth notes that this code changes when circumstances change, that adaptability is built into culture just as it is in bodies. In a room reminiscent of leaf-filtered afternoon light, the subject is migration tides across thousands of years. If you stand still, you can sense the slow forward motion of people, like the subtle forward drift you feel on a gently moving boat. Groups make contact, share a campfire, exchange partners, exchange ideas, and then move on, leaving behind traces of their presence that are part practical and part poetic. The world is large, but the connections reach across it through small, consistent acts of moving and meeting and smiling. Another chamber shows that curiosity reaches underground as well. People learn to dig for tubers without damaging them, to extract clay for pots, to quarry stone from safe places. Caves are entered with caution and care, not as trophies to conquer, but as places to explore and use wisely. The underground is both shelter and storehouse. It is cool when the air outside is hot, still when the air outside is windy. In some places, caves are canvases for signs and images, their darkness a friendly background for the glow of knowledge. You now pass by a gentle reflection on time scales. A lifetime feels long to the one who lives it, and short to those who measure centuries or millennia. The Labyrinth lets you feel both scales at once. The minutes of a day, the days of a season, the seasons of a lifetime, the lifetimes of a lineage. If you imagine them as nested bowls, each one fits into the next with space to spare. This perspective loosens the grip of urgency. It makes room for the comfort of knowing that small steps add up, and that nothing truly meaningful must be rushed. The corridor bends toward a room of language again, now highlighting how words accumulate meaning through shared usage. A word for a specific plant grows to include related plants. A word for a specific place spreads to mean any safe place. Language compresses experience into compact, portable forms. With each new layer, language changes, and the change is gentle, tracked by ears that remain sensitive to tone and cadence. Dialects arise, split and merge, and none is wrong. All are parts of the long, melodic line of human communication. In a chamber, bathed in the calm glow of an early morning sky, the notion of identity is considered. Identity holds a person gently, outlining a place to stand, a set of names, a set of roles. It shifts and breathes and eases as needed. The Labyrinth portrays identity not as a hard wall, but as a flexible skin that allows growth while preserving a sense of belonging. In deep time, this belonging was often to a small group, a cluster of familiar faces and dependable gestures. The comfort of being known formed a backdrop to the effort of daily life, reducing stress and allowing attention to be spent wisely. There is a room where, Marriage, partnership, and kinship tie together into a net that catches the uncertainties of life. Pair bonds and extended networks provide stability for raising children, supporting elders, and managing change. Patterns differed across time and space, but the central function was often the same: to make life's variability manageable by orchestrating support. In this room, the network looks like a soft lattice, sturdy and forgiving. A quiet alcove turns your attention to self-expression. Ornaments are small and gentle, worn perhaps in the hair, on the wrist, around the neck. They carry memories of events or places. A bead might be a promise. A dye pattern might be a reminder. Over time, these simple expressives become language-like in their communicative power. They say, in a wordless way, "I am part of this group, and I remember this story." They comfort the wearer by placing them within a narrative, a nested set of circles of belonging. As you move on, the labyrinth opens into a wide, tranquil courtyard, a place that feels like a resting point. Here, gather together everything you have seen: the early steps that became a gate, the stones that became tools, the fires that became hearths, the murmurs that became language, the marks that became art, the groups that became societies. Let them rest together in your mind, as if you were watching the tide create a calm, glassy surface over a sandy shore. Each element reflects the others. Each one is rendered smoother, more cohesive by the presence of the rest. You are not in a rush to leave this place. You can linger. Continuing, you come to a room that honors care for the environment in small acts. Early humans did not always tread lightly, but often they did. Fire was used to clear underbrush in controlled ways. Seeds were scattered to encourage growth. Overharvesting was balanced by movement to new areas, allowing old areas to recover. These were not formal policies, but lived practices. They emerged from a relationship with the land that was personal and respectful. Many of those practices remain relevant today, offering soft wisdom that does not demand attention, but deserves it. You find a chamber focused on craft learning. Apprenticeship is a gentle exchange of attention. A learner watches a teacher's hands. The teacher guides without commanding, letting the learner's fingers find the right pressure and angle. Mistakes are corrected with patience. The room carries a sense of peaceful repetition. Mastery is not a quick ascent. It is a circle, revisited again and again, each rotation adding smoothness and confidence. Ahead, a small room explores the evolution of the human voice's soothing powers. Speech contours, slow rhythms, and warm timbres convey safety. Tones that rise and fall softly organize attention without startling. You can imagine a caregiver speaking to an infant, or a storyteller speaking to a group at dusk, or a friend reassuring another with a few calm phrases. Even when the words change, the music of reassurance remains, modulated by breath and intention. In a delicate alcove, the subject is written records. Writing systems appear, different in form, but convergent in function. They turn memory into marks that travel further and outlast the moment. Little by little, writing expands what the mind can hold at once, allowing histories, inventories, and ideas to be preserved and revisited. In many places, the earliest uses of writing are practical, but even those practical lists and ledgers carry a poetic quality now, because they were the first steps toward a much larger library. The Labyrinth places them here with reverence, next to a window where diffused light makes the ink glow quietly. You move to a room about healing traditions. Plants with calming effects are harvested with care. Techniques for reducing pain and supporting recovery pass from one generation to the next. There is an emphasis on rest and warmth, on cleanliness and fresh air, on gentle touch. Even in modern contexts, these fundamentals still help. The Labyrinth whispers that while novelty has its place, many of the most reliable comforts are old and simple. In an airy space, the ceiling painted like a pale sky, the subject of play returns. Play shapes the brain, builds social bonds, strengthens the body, and introduces creativity. It is not a distraction from life. It is one of life's essential patterns. The Labyrinth allows you to absorb this insight without effort, like sunlight soaking into your skin on a mild day. You step into a gallery reflecting on memory in stone and bone once more. Fossils appear as gentle puzzles. Their identification and classification are the result of many careful comparisons, done over years and decades. People who study them often speak softly, and they handle specimens as if they were sleeping birds. They respect the weight of time contained in each piece. The conclusions drawn from these objects are never brittle. They bend and adjust as new pieces arrive, forming a lattice that can carry more weight without breaking. Another chamber considers the shapes of homes over time. Caves, tents, huts, houses, apartments. Each shelter reflects the needs of its time and place, and each one offers a sense of enclosure and safety that resonates with a deep desire for refuge. The layout of sleeping areas, the location of the hearth, the placement of doors and windows, all have deep roots in the patterns of daily life. Even in tall buildings, some of these instincts persist. A window that frames a bit of sky, a corner chair that feels sheltered, a soft rug that warms the feet. The continuity is quiet and reassuring. The Labyrinth moves toward understanding how we moved across cold lands with snow. Clothing thickens. Footwear adapts. Firewood is gathered in mindful quantities. People learn to read tracks in snow and to build temporary shelters that hold warmth. The white expanse invites a different attention, creating a soundscape of soft crunches and muffled silence. These adjustments are gradual and sensible, and the memory of them lives on in our appreciation of winter rituals today, from warm drinks to layered blankets. An alcove with a faint scent of rain displays the evolution of containers. The first were hands, then leaves, then woven baskets, then pottery. Each form has its own music. A basket creaks softly when loaded. A pot clinks gently when set down. A gourd resonates with a hollow thump when tapped. Containers represent the ability to gather not just for now, but for later. They enable planning. They reduce anxiety. They allow you to invest effort in ways that pay off beyond a single moment. You find a room devoted to the relationship between light and sleep. Firelight and starlight told the body it was time to wind down. Dawn told the body it was time to rise. This pattern trained a rhythm in us that persists. Although modern lights change the signals, the original rhythm still responds to cues. A dimmed room, a steady voice, a consistent bedtime ritual. You feel this now as the labyrinth gently dims its lights and slows the pace. The gentle rhythm continues, and your eyelids might grow heavier, as if responding to a timeless invitation. The corridor ahead highlights the calm utility of lists and plans. Even before writing, groups could plan with shared memory. Who will fetch water? Who will hunt? Who will stay with the children? When the group will move? What tasks need doing before night? This mental organization is like a soft scaffolding that supports bigger structures. It reduces confusion and relies on trust. It translates into modern life as to-do lists and calendars and routines that quiet the mind. A room with a view of a soft green slope invites you to think about cooperation across groups. Alliances form when two groups recognize shared needs. They might exchange partners to strengthen ties or share a seasonal camp. The result is expanded knowledge and reduced risk. Cooperation does not require uniformity. It respects differences while finding common ground. The labyrinth frames this as a gentle weaving, where distinct threads maintain their colors, even as they interlace. As the path winds on, you enter a space for reflection on love and affection. These are not just emotions, but bonds that align physiology. Heart rates slow in harmony. Stress hormones ease. Accumulated tension drains from the neck and shoulders. Love is not only a dramatic spark, it is a slow burning ember that warms the everyday, an enduring comfort that persisted across ages and countless evenings, especially when the fire was low and the night was long. A chamber nearby contemplates the journey from small groups to larger communities. With more people, coordination grows more complex, but also more possibilities emerge. Tools specialize, roles diversify, rituals elaborate. There are challenges, and they are met with new forms of governance, often beginning as simple councils of respected voices. The key remains the same. The group's purpose is to protect and provide a space in which people can live and grow with minimal friction. The labyrinth leads you past a series of gentle portraits of individuals through time. A toolmaker in thought, a caregiver soothing a child, a gatherer concentrating on ripe fruit, a story bearer speaking soft words. You sense their humanity, not so different from yours. Their details fade and blend into a collective presence that feels familiar and safe. Across time, the variations on the theme of being human are many, but the theme remains: caring, learning, adapting, and resting when rest is needed. You walk into a room that considers the role of wonder. Wonder is a soft expansion, a widening of the mind that does not strain the eyes or the heart. It comes when you watch a sunrise in silence, or hold a shell to your ear, or notice a pattern in a leaf. Wonder guided early humans to look closer, to test gently, to revise calmly. It fed the curiosity that helped our species thrive, and it still feeds the part of you that relaxes when you are near water, in a forest, or under a night sky full of stars. The next passage returns to fossils, with a special focus on teeth, because they preserve well and carry valuable clues. The size and shape of molars, the thickness of enamel, the wear patterns that show the kind of grinding and tearing done at meals. Teeth speak in a quiet, patient language. They tell of diets and lifeways down to the small, intimate details. The labyrinth holds them up in soft light, as if to say that even small things, even everyday acts like chewing, matter in the grand tapestry. A small room near the end of this wing highlights the relationship between humans and timekeeping. Once, only the natural cycles guided us. Later, water clocks and sundials added structure. Then mechanical clocks added more precision. Each step led to more coordination, more capacity for large-scale cooperation. The labyrinth gently reminds you that precision can coexist with peace, that schedules do not have to feel like cages if they are built with respect for the body's needs, for breathing, for pauses, for meal times that ground the day. You turn again and find yourself facing a transitory gallery about the present moment. Our bodies still carry ancient rhythms. Our minds still find comfort in soft voices and steady routines. Our social needs remain similar: to be seen, to be safe, to be useful, to be loved. The labyrinth is not only behind us, it is also inside us. The past corridors are not walls, but corridors we keep in our speech patterns, our gestures, our bedtime rituals, our morning habits. This thought is comforting, like recognizing a familiar scent in a new room. An alcove filled with cool, pale light explores the connection between our species and other species. Humans are unique in many ways, and yet we remain animals constrained by the same laws. Coevolution with plants and animals shaped us. Microbes partnered with us in our guts and on our skin, forming ecosystems within ecosystems. The labyrinth invites you to view this not as a loss of specialness, but as a gain in belonging. The more you see yourself as part of the living world, the easier it becomes to find a sustainable place within it. Walking into a space devoted to the sensations of touch, you are reminded that comfort depends on surfaces. People lined their resting places with grass, leaves, skins, later with woven mats and blankets. Cushioning matters. Your body recognizes this. Layers that hold heat, while wicking away moisture makes sleep easier. You can picture someone shaking out bedding at sunset, laying it smooth, checking the ground for any unevenness, then settling in with a sigh as the first stars appear. The gentle rhythm continues, and in that rhythm, an entire community relaxes, each body finding the sweet spot between support and softness. The labyrinth brings you to a modest shrine to water. Water to drink, water to wash, water to watch. Fresh, clear streams and still pools. rain collected in hollow stones, dew gathered in the morning. The sound of water has always soothed, and the ability to find it and keep it clean has always been a foundation for health. In our deep past, we learned to follow animals that knew water, to read the vegetation that hinted at springs, to dig when the ground revealed a secret. Water remains the quiet heartbeat of life. Now, at the final stretch, you enter a concluding hall where everything you have seen returns in a final, gentle panorama. The story of human evolution is not a rising staircase with rigid steps. It is a wandering garden path that splits and rejoins, with some turns that end in quiet shade and others that open to wide views. It offers no need for triumph or rivalry, only the comfort of continuity. From the first hesitant steps to the careful shaping of tools and the quiet gatherings around shared warmth, from stations of migration to the slow rise of language and art, the story holds a steady, soothing cadence. Imagine yourself once more at the entrance where we began, now looking back up a corridor filled with soft light. The labyrinth does not end or begin in any single place. It is simply there, patient and welcoming. You can revisit it any time, pausing wherever you like, lingering over whatever details relax you most, and letting your thoughts drift when they feel the need to float. You do not have to hold everything all at once. It is enough to carry a single image or a single melody from this long, quiet tour. As you prepare to return to your present room, feel the calm settle into your shoulders and your chest. Notice the way your breath moves now, slower and smoother, as if it has found its own steady path through a friendly landscape. If sleep is near, you can let it arrive without fanfare. If you prefer to keep listening, the playlist in the description can guide you to more soft journeys, more gentle corridors filled with low voices and unhurried steps. Either way, you are safe. You are held in the gentle arc of this moment, and there is nothing you must do. Thank you for walking these slow paths with me tonight. If this helped you feel at ease, you can quietly like and subscribe, so more of these calm stories can meet you where you rest. For now, rest well. Let the gentle rhythm continue. Let your thoughts drift like leaves on a quiet river, and may your night be soft and unbroken, your sleep deep and kind.